So, let's talk about stuff. Big stuff. Like the roads you drive on, the schools your kids might go to, the bridges that get you from one side of a river to the other. Who builds all this? Well, traditionally, the government does. They collect your taxes, hire a bunch of people, and voila, a new hospital appears. But here's a thought. What if the government, which we'll call the public sector, teamed up with a private company? This, my friends, is the heart of a public-private partnership, or P3. It's a long-term contract where the government says, hey, private company, we need a thing, but we want to do this together. The goal is to combine the public sector's duty to serve the people with the private sector's knack for innovation and efficiency. The whole idea can seem a little complicated, but it's really just a different way of getting important projects done. All right, let's dive into the nitty-gritty. Not all P3s are created equal, they come in different flavors, often identified by a confusing jumble of letters. First up is the DBF model, which stands for Design, Build, Finance. Let's break that down. A private company is hired to design the project, create the blueprints for, say, a new library. Build it, actually construct the library. Arrange the financing to pay for the construction. Think of it like this. The government doesn't have to take out a massive loan. The private partner handles the upfront funding. The government pays them back over time, almost like a mortgage. Now, once that shiny new library is built under DBF, who takes care of it? Who replaces the light bulbs? Who mows the lawn? Who fixes the leaky roof? In a pure DBF scenario, that responsibility goes back to the government. The private partner's job is done once the keys are handed over. This is where DBFM enters the scene. DBFM stands for Design, Build, Finance, Maintain. It includes everything from DBF, but adds long-term maintenance. For the entire length of the contract, maybe 20 or 30 years. The private company is also responsible for keeping the library in tip-top shape. Under a DBFM agreement, the private partner who designed and built the library is on the hook for upkeep. If the heating system breaks in the middle of winter, it's their job to fix it. If the paint starts to peel, they have to repaint it. The government makes regular payments to the company. Those payments are often tied to performance. If standards slip, say the roof is leaking and damaging books, the government can reduce payment. This gives the private partner a strong financial incentive to build well from the start, and to maintain it properly. What if we took the DBFM model and added even more responsibility? That's where we get to DBFOM. Design, Build, Finance, Operate, Maintain. This is a huge step up. The private partner is now responsible for not only designing, building, financing, and maintaining the asset, but also for its day-to-day operations. Let's imagine our project is a new toll road. Under a DBFOM model, the private company would design the highway, secure the funding, build it, and then perform all the maintenance, repaving and snow removal. But the operate part means they also do things like collect the tolls, manage traffic flow, and run the roadside assistance services. In this scenario, the private company is essentially running the entire toll road business on behalf of the public. Their revenue often comes directly from the tolls paid by drivers. The government's role shifts from being a hands-on manager to an overseer, making sure the company meets the safety and performance standards in the contract. For instance, the contract might specify that potholes must be repaired within 48 hours. If the company fails, there are financial penalties. The DBFOM model bundles almost all aspects of a project's lifecycle into a single private sector contract. Now, let's talk about the final model on our list, the concession, or lease. In a concession, the government grants a private company the right to operate and collect revenue from an existing public asset for a long period, sometimes 50 years or more. Think of the city of Chicago leasing its parking meter system. The city already had the parking meters, but they gave a private company the exclusive right, the concession, to operate them and collect all the revenue for 75 years. In return, the company paid the city a massive one-time upfront payment of over $1 billion. The line between a DBFOM and a concession can be blurry. A key distinction is often what happens at the start. A DBFOM usually involves building something new, while a concession can involve leasing an asset that already exists. In both cases, the private partner takes on significant risk. Their profits depend on how many people use the service. how many cars use the toll road, how many people park at the meters. If demand is lower than expected, the company loses money, not the taxpayer. This model transfers a huge amount of financial risk from the public to the private sector, which is its primary appeal for governments looking for a big cash infusion or a way to offload a complex operational burden. DBF, DBFM, DBFOM, and Concession, different ways to share responsibilities and risks so critical projects can get built and run well. By now, you've probably noticed, the main difference is how much risk and responsibility shifts to the private partner. Think of it as a ladder, DBF. Here, the private company takes on the risk of designing, building, and financing the project on time and on budget. Once the ribbon is cut and the keys are handed over, most of that risk transfers back to the government. The government has a new school, but it also has the future bill for every repair. Climbing up a rung, we find the DBFM model, where maintain aligns builders with long-term public interests through performance and predictable payments. The next rung up is DBFOM, where the private partner also operates the asset. Let's go back to our toll road. In a DBFOM, the private company's revenue is often tied directly to how many people use the road. They are now taking on demand risk. If they build a beautiful new highway but nobody drives on it, that's their problem, not the government's. This is a huge transfer of financial risk. The government is protected from the uncertainty of public usage, while the private partner is betting that their investment will pay off through user fees over many decades. At the very top of the ladder is the concession or lease model. This represents the maximum transfer of risk and control to the private sector, with government acting as regulator on safety, quality, and pricing. So, with all these complex models and long-term contracts, why do governments and private companies even bother with P3s? The answer comes down to a few core motivations. For governments, one of the biggest drivers is, unsurprisingly, money. Major infrastructure projects are incredibly expensive. Many public agencies simply don't have billions of dollars sitting around. P3s allow them to tap into private capital. That lets projects be built now, rather than decades from now. It's a way to overcome budget constraints and deliver much-needed public assets. Another huge factor is risk transfer. Building big things is risky. Delays, cost spikes, and tech hurdles can strike. A P3 contract aims to place specific risks with whoever can manage them best, often specialized private firms, creating strong incentives to deliver on time and on budget. From the private sector's perspective, P3s are a compelling business opportunity. These are not short-term construction gigs. They are long-term, stable investments, predictable revenue for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, pension funds, other institutional investors. Reliable, inflation-adjusted payments from government for a road or hospital are attractive. These projects let companies leverage expertise in design, construction, and operations. That leads to innovations in efficiency and technology applied globally. Ultimately, the grand promise of P3s is better value for public money, through competition and innovation, built faster and maintained more reliably. No model is perfect. Success depends on a well-written contract and strong public oversight. Even so, these partnerships are a critical tool. They offer a creative, collaborative way to build and to manage essential public works that form the backbone of our society, ensuring they serve us well today and for generations to come. DBF, DBFM, DBFOM, Concession, a clear breakdown to help your community choose the right path. If you found this helpful, share it, and let's build smarter together.